Stop before your next sip. Before you take your next sip of bottled water, pause. Not because this video is designed to scare you, but because it reveals something that was never meant to be seen in the first place. What you're about to hear isn't speculation, activism, or a dramatic headline. It's the result of new scientific tools that finally allow researchers to observe what has been happening quietly for decades. If you've ever opened a plastic bottle at work, refilled one at the gym, handed one to your child, or trusted the words food grade or BPA-free, subscribe now. Because once you understand this, you won't see everyday packaging the same way again. The story we were all told. Plastic bottles were sold as a triumph of modern engineering. Lightweight, durable, hygienic, cheap to transport, approved by regulators across the world. Factories invested billions to perfect them. Retailers built entire supply chains around them. Consumers were told they were safe as long as bottles weren't overheated or abused. And for years, the science agreed. Chemical migration tests showed levels well below legal limits. On paper, plastic bottles passed every safety requirement. But there was a blind spot, not because anyone ignored it, but because science couldn't see it yet. The limit of old science. For decades, scientists focused on chemicals that leach into food. BPA, plasticizers, residual monomers. Those were measurable, traceable, and regulated. But plastic isn't just chemistry, it's also structure. Until recently, researchers could only detect microplastics, particles large enough to be seen under microscopes. Anything smaller simply didn't exist to science. Then new tools arrived. Laser-based spectroscopy, ultra-high-resolution imaging, techniques capable of detecting particles measured in nanometers. That's when the questions changed. The question no one asked before. What happens if we look inside everyday bottles using these new tools? Not damaged bottles, not overheated bottles, not misused bottles, just normal bottles. Normal storage, normal use. Researchers tested bottled water, soft drinks, and flavored beverages exactly as consumers buy them. And what they found stunned even the people running the experiments. What they found inside. Instead of thousands of particles, tests revealed hundreds of billions to trillions of nanoplastic particles in a single bottle. Not contamination from the environment, not factory dirt, not transport damage. These particles were coming from the bottle itself. The packaging wasn't defective. It was functioning exactly as designed. It happens in seconds. Most people imagine plastic breaking down slowly, over months, over years. But the biggest release of nanoplastics doesn't happen over time. It happens in seconds. The moment you twist the cap, plastic threads grind against plastic necks. That friction engineered to guarantee a tight seal shaves microscopic fragments straight into the liquid. No warning, no visible debris, no strange taste. From an engineering perspective, this is normal mechanical wear. From a biological perspective, it's an exposure event that happens every single time a bottle is opened. Why this was never flagged. Food safety laws focus on chemical migration, not physical particles. Nanoplastics don't dissolve. They don't trigger standard tests. They slip through filters designed decades ago. This means regulators weren't negligent. Manufacturers weren't hiding data. Everyone was working with incomplete vision. And incomplete vision creates risk, especially when systems scale globally. This is bigger than you think. If you believe this is only about bottled water, hit like now. because the next part explains why this issue reaches far beyond drinks and into almost every packaged product you touch. A normal day, a hidden routine. Think about a normal day: a bottled drink in the morning, a packaged lunch, a ready meal tray, a coffee cup lid, a takeaway container. None of these moments feel unusual. None of them trigger alarms. Each one seems insignificant on its own. But nanoplastics don't work in isolation. They work cumulatively. The danger isn't one bottle, it's repetition. It's years of invisible exposure built into modern convenience. Inside the factory, where the gap lives, inside bottling factories, everything is optimized. Caps are torqued to precise specifications. Materials are selected for durability, speed, and cost efficiency. Lines run at extraordinary speeds. From an audit perspective, these systems are exemplary. They meet food contact laws, they pass inspections, they satisfy global retailers. Nanoplastics exist in the gap between what science can now detect and what regulation has caught up with. BPA-free and the false reassurance. When BPA became controversial, industry adapted fast. New materials, new labels, renewed trust. But BPA was a chemical problem. Nanoplastics are a mechanical reality. You can remove BPA and still shed plastic. You can change additives and still grind polymers into fragments. Even glass bottles with plastic-lined caps release nanoplastics the moment they're opened. This isn't about bad brands, it's about how modern packaging works. Why smaller is more serious. Microplastics are often expelled by the body. Nanoplastics behave differently. Early studies suggest they may cross cell membranes, enter tissues, and interact directly with organs. Some research links them to inflammation. Others suggest they can act as carriers, transporting chemicals deeper into the body. The most unsettling part isn't what scientists have found, it's how much remains unknown. Because the human body never evolved to process particles this small. Why the silence continues. Redesigning packaging costs millions. Changing caps disrupts supply chains. Slowing production affects margins. So most industries wait. For regulation, for consensus, for undeniable proof of harm. But regulation always lags science, sometimes by decades. This silence isn't a conspiracy. It's structural inertia, and it leaves consumers unknowingly living inside a large-scale, long-term experiment. The real risk, explained clearly. One bottle won't harm you. One drink won't change your health. The risk lies in accumulation. Bottles, trays, films, lids, coffee cups, ready meal packaging. Each one adds a tiny, invisible dose, and over years, those doses quietly stack. No alarms, no symptoms, no headlines, until suddenly there are. What comes next? Scientists are already developing low-shedding polymers, redesigned caps, and alternative closure systems. Packaging will change, but slowly, and without fanfare. Just like lead pipes, just like asbestos, just like trans fats. The shift won't feel urgent, until one day it is. Why this channel exists. If you want to understand what really happens inside factories, laboratories, and supply chains before the public narrative catches up, subscribe now. Because the most dangerous systems aren't the ones that fail loudly. They're the ones that work perfectly, while no one is looking.